Shocking new details have surfaced about the closed-door negotiations between Trump and Zelensky at the White House on Friday, October 17th. For example, Trump, using foul language, urged Zelensky to accept Putin's terms and surrender Ukrainian territories, otherwise Russia would destroy Ukraine. According to Trump, Putin is only asking for Donbass, and Trump started to think that it is Ukraine that wants escalation and the continuation of the war. Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff tried to convince Zelensky that he was wrong, because Russia held a referendum in Donbass and included this region in its constitution. And that's why it's supposedly already Russian territory, where Russian-speaking people live, so this territory just needs to be given up. Then Trump unexpectedly raised the issue of security guarantees for Russia, saying that Ukraine might violate a peace agreement, which doesn't even exist yet, and attack Russians or attack Ukraine. And that's why Trump is already ready to guarantee the safety of the Russian occupiers. Republicans supporting Ukraine urged Zelensky to cancel his meeting with Trump, but sources from the White House admitted today that during the meeting with Zelensky, Trump kept complaining that he wasn't given the Nobel Peace Prize, and he pushed away any frontline maps brought by the Ukrainian delegation, insisting that Putin only wants Donbass. Why won't you agree to this in any way? And that's far from all the details. My name is Alexei Pichi. Today is October 20th on the calendar. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Please leave a like, write any comment under this video, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pichi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we post breaking news as it comes in. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so financially with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. It says there, support the channel Alexei Pichi. Choose any format that is convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you can give. So I'll start with the latest insights from the Washington Post. The publication writes that after meeting with Donald Trump, Zelensky is urgently seeking support from European leaders, because Trump behaved inappropriately. For example, at the meeting with Zelensky, Trump kept complaining that he wasn't given the Nobel Peace Prize. As the Washington Post writes, quote, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky is seeking support from his European partners after a difficult meeting with President Donald Trump, at which he was offered to make concessions to end the war. Otherwise, he risks being destroyed by Russia. At a tense meeting in the White House on Friday, Trump brushed aside frontline maps and urged Kyiv to give up the entire Donbass to Russia in order to make a deal, according to people familiar with the negotiations. He said, Putin will destroy you if you don't agree. Now, Zelensky had maps and all that. He kept trying to explain everything to Trump, but Trump didn't want to have anything to do with it. According to the source, Trump listened to the Ukrainian message but didn't react to it in any way. It was something like, no, listen guys, there's no way you can get your territory back. There's nothing we can do to save you. You should try to give diplomacy another chance. Trump is telling the Ukrainians, see how I set many deadlines, issue tough ultimatums, then change my mind and cancel everything? So you should give diplomacy a chance too? Yes, of course, Ukrainians are dying, civilians are dying, Ukrainian soldiers are dying every day. But Trump says, yes, give Putin a chance for diplomacy so that we can talk with Putin. What if it works now? It's been 9 months of Trump's presidency and nothing has worked. Half the world is probably already mocking Trump. What is he saying? Deadlines, all the deadlines of the week, then there will be such tough sanctions. 3 months have passed with no results. Trump says, be like me. It's a joke, but not serious. Several United States and European officials and publications have confirmed these insider meeting reports. That's why it's not surprising that Zelensky is planning to meet with European allies this week to make sure that we still have a united position with the Europeans. European leaders, by the way, rallied around Zelensky, expressing their support over the past weekend. The White House's disappointment will likely dominate diplomatic talks this week, including Thursday's European Union summit. At this point, there's no patience left. Can anyone really take Donald Trump seriously? I'll start by quoting his most recent statement. So, today he's holding another press conference and the journalist asks him, "You once said that Ukraine might win the war and get its territories back?" To which Trump replies, "They can still win. I said they can win anything they want." War is a very strange thing. I don't think they'll do it. Yes, friends, you heard that right. Donald Trump actually has two phrases in one sentence. They can still win, and I don't think they can do it. I don't know, that's it, it's over. Could this be bipolar disorder? So, in one sentence he says they can win, but I don't think they can do it. Just a few days after publicly pondering Zelensky's caution in requesting Tomahawk missiles to strike deeper into Russian territory, the same Trump suddenly started talking about a land swap again. Now he says the United States needs Tomahawks, and they don't want escalation. Although the same Trump just a few days ago was saying, yes, definitely, we're transferring them, I've made the decision. But the most frightening thing is that, according to sources, in his rambling speech at a closed meeting with Zelensky, Trump simply started complaining like a child that he wasn't given the Nobel Peace Prize. Next is a quote from the Washington Post. As for the conflict, the message was this: Russia only wants Donbas, and that's a good deal. And Putin wants to put an end to the war. And this can be done quickly. After meeting Zelensky, Trump called for a ceasefire along the current front line, a position later supported by the Ukrainian president. When asked if he urged Zelensky to give up Donbas, Trump later replied that he did not. Now both sides of the conflict should stop at the front line. Go home. Stop fighting and stop killing people, added Donald Trump. Nevertheless, Trump's decision to push Putin's demands at the meeting with Zelensky once again shattered Europe's hopes that Washington could come to Ukraine's aid or strengthen its influence at the negotiations. And it puts new pressure on Kyiv's main supporters in Europe, demanding that they maintain their support for Ukraine. But that's not all. Reuters adds to the picture and writes that Trump suddenly started talking about security guarantees for Russia. Like, what if Ukraine changes its mind and attacks the Russian occupiers on sacred Ukrainian territory? Well, that's it. As the publication writes, Trump pressured Zelensky to make territorial concessions, which left the Ukrainian delegation disappointed. And Trump was considering not only security guarantees for Kiev, but also for Moscow. According to Reuters, after the meeting in Alaska and listening to dictator Putin, Trump insisted that Russia would seize the entire Donbas on its own. Within months, Putin completely deceived him, saying, "Just stay out for a couple of months, I'll take over Donbas and that's it." And now, Trump insisted that Russia would freeze and destroy Ukraine this winter, so it would be better for Ukraine to surrender and give up Donbas already. The publication writes that Trump started swearing and cursing several times, Reuters sources also confirm that Steve Witkoff was one of those who most aggressively persuaded the Ukrainian delegation and Zelensky to agree to a deal involving the exchange of Ukrainian territories. The exchange supposedly referred to Putin's offer of some small parts of the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions in return for Donetsk. By the way, Zelensky hinted in his comment today that Witkoff once again didn't fully understand what Putin's proposal was actually about. He may have offered nothing in return, only promising to stop in the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions at the current line. As a result of the meeting, Trump called for a ceasefire along the current front line, which, by the way, Zelensky supported. So, according to a Reuters source, Donald Trump took this position after making sure that Volodymyr Zelensky would not voluntarily give up territory to Russia. No matter how hard they try to put pressure, neither Witkoff, nor Trump, nor Vance, nor anyone else, no, Ukraine will not agree to this. And overall, although the meeting was clearly a disappointment for Ukraine, it did not turn into a catastrophe for Ukraine, let's put it that way. And now, moving on, Politico reports that United States representatives at the meeting between Donald Trump and Zelensky told him that Vladimir Putin wants to continue fighting. That's why it's important for Zelensky to make sure that Europe remains in the same position as before, since there is very little hope left for Trump. And finally, I would like to say just a couple of words to Donald Trump's team. Regarding security guarantees for Moscow, Trump probably doesn't know that by this Russia means the so-called December initiatives of 2021. That is, Vladimir Putin's ultimatum to the North Atlantic Alliance before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, in which Putin demanded that NATO return to the 1997 borders, which means excluding from NATO the 14 countries that joined after 1997. But is Trump really going to discuss and implement these security guarantees? Or did Witkoff once again misunderstand something and pass some nonsense on to Donald Trump? I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.